Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, Season 4, where we are focusing on mastery. The last 3 seasons, I gave you the information. Now, we're focusing on integrating it into our lives and embodying it. If you are ready to master your thoughts, emotions, and patterns to feel whole, fulfilled, and really grounded in who you are without dimming your shine so you can live the abundant life that you truly desire, then you are in the right place. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, I encourage you to go over to YouTube and watch the video because we are in person.
Yes, we are.
So I'm so excited. So this beautiful woman here is so dynamic, and I'm excited to hear her story and everything that she does. It is Alejandra Brady, and we're going to talk about oracle cards and Feng Shui. So excited. But before we dive into her story, I want to ask you, what does abundance mean to you?
Abundance to me is very different from prosperity. So many people equate prosperity and abundance interchangeably. To me, prosperity means I'm focusing more on wealth, where abundance means more of everything wonderful and good and yummy in your life across the board. It can certainly include wealth, but when I'm working with people, I also encourage them, do you need abundance of time? Do you need abundance of health, abundance of love? Mm-hmm. It can be so many different ways to view abundance, and I just view it as more of all the good, yummy stuff in my life.
Yes for yummy stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us about you. I want to start from the beginning. So I consider you a Feng Shui expert. And you have this amazing oracle deck, but I want to know, how did you get started with Feng Shui?
Sure. So when I turned 50, I kind of started reevaluating things, and I was in a good place. But then a month later, my doctor, I was having headaches, which I've never had in my life, and I was having these weird things. I would grab something and it would fall, like I couldn't hold it in my hands. Mm-hmm. And so I went to my spinal surgeon because I had had lower lumbar fusion 3 years before that at 47. And I went and I just said, what's going on? And I got the shock of my life. I needed to have cervical fusion. Mm-hmm. So normally I am wearing lower clothes. Today I don't know why I chose this dress. The color made me happy. But I've got a big scar right here. So I have a plate with 6 screws here. Mm-hmm. And when I found out that I needed that, I was talking to a dear friend of mine whom you know, Heather Radke. Mm-hmm. And we'd already been talking about crystals and kind of diving a little bit into Feng Shui online just because it seemed interesting and something that I could add to my interior design practice. I've been doing interior design at that point. I'm almost in 20 years with interior design, so I'm 54, so take that off of there, 16, 17 years at that point. And she found this woman named Karen Rock Carter, and she said she'll come and she won't charge us travel time if she does both our homes on the same day. So I said, okay, why not? And unbeknownst to us, Karen Rock Carter is a rock star in the world of Feng Shui. She has 2 books out. They've been translated into 9 different languages.
Oh, wow.
We didn't know any of this. We literally were just led by intuition. Somebody suggested it to Heather. Heather suggested it for us. And within 10 minutes of being at my house, Karen said, she stopped. I'm furiously taking notes as she's telling me what I need to do in each area of my house. And she just stopped. She looked at me and she goes, "You're going to be doing this for a living one day." And I clearly remember going, "Lady, TikTok, this is an expensive session. Just tell me what to do to fix my house. I can't think of doing anything else. I'm about to go into surgery. I just want my house in a good space for recovering from surgery." And we went on with it. I started implementing the changes, and the shift in energy was so incredible in our household that even my husband noticed. And at the beginning, he was very much like this. And I go into a lot of homes because I do a lot of, personal consultations. And there's a good chance the husband is a little bit more closed off than the wife is. But, once we start implementing changes, I was at a house yesterday and the wife's like, "Oh, and my husband said, now he wants to do this and this and this." And I'm like, they almost always come around. It's very interesting when they don't. So after implementing the first set of changes, he said, "What do you want to do next?" And we kept going, and then it was time for my surgery. And I said, what I really want to do is, I think I want to study under her. Mm-hmm. I said, she said she saw me doing it. Let me ask if she'll take me on as a student. Mm-hmm. So I reached out, and she said yes. And, you know, I told her she knew what was happening. And as soon as I was off the drugs, because I was in a neck brace for 6 weeks. So as soon as, you know, the drugs and all the post-surgery stuff wore off, I quit all my clients. I had already kind of quietly said, you know, I'm going to be recovering for quite a while. So I'm kind of not closing my business, but taking a hiatus. And I just didn't, I extended that hiatus for a year while I got certified under her. I just didn't take on clients. And I just focused solely on studying under her. Met her several times, followed her around on consultations, you know, did her entire program. And then when I got certified, I just found that it was like the most beautiful combination. It's everything I love doing, which is design and making spaces beautiful. But now the greatest compliment that anyone can give me is if you walk into a room, I know it's going to be beautiful. I've been doing this for a long time. You know, I trust my skills for design. But when someone says, oh my God, it feels so good in here, that is the highest compliment you can pay me.
Yeah.
Because that is my goal. Not to just make it look beautiful, but to shift the energy in your space so that it helps support you and whoever lives in the house, right? Because it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone in the household. So that's the goal, and that's my intention, and that's how I come into a space. I want it beautiful and balanced and harmonious for everybody that lives there. Whether it's an office, a home, you know, a car, you know, whatever it is.
So for someone who doesn't know what Feng Shui is, how would you describe it if they've never heard the term before?
Sure. So it's a Chinese term, and Feng Shui was created in China, somewhere between, varying on what you read, between 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. And the way my teacher loved to describe it is, it's, you know, 6,000 years of common sense. So Feng means wind and Shui means water. So the easiest example is if you think of a mountain and you think of a house. If you have your house at the very top of the mountain, that's not the ideal location because wind can blow it over. If you think of a house at the very bottom of a mountain right by the stream, that's also not ideal because rain can wash it away, river can wash it away. So it's finding that balance between unseen forces like wind and seen forces like water. That's the perfect location that will give you the most balanced and best environment. And so what it's not, I always do like to talk about what it's not, because I have had very dear friends of mine when I started doing this and going down this rabbit hole that I love to have it called now, who said, oh, I don't believe in Feng Shui. You know, I'm a Christian, I don't believe in Feng Shui. I'm whatever, I don't believe in Feng Shui. I'm like, it's not a belief system. It's not a belief system whatsoever. It's literally like if you took the same ingredients, you know, you can have everything to make a cake, and depending on what your intention is, you can make that cake, or you can make cupcakes. Sometimes you can even make cookies out of the same ingredients, right? So it's just a way of manipulating what's in your home, items, you know, energy, to be more enhancing towards you and everybody in there, and more supportive. So I do like to mention that.
Yeah, I love that example of the water and the wind, because I feel like in life we're trying to find balance anyway. And it's that in-between space that sometimes we thrive the most. So it's creating an environment to where you can thrive energetically.
Absolutely.
It's kind of how I understand it.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So I have here her new Oracle deck. So how would you explain what an Oracle deck is, and then how yours works specifically?
So this was just the happiest little, and I don't want to say accident because it wasn't an accident, but it was just the happiest little project I've ever done. I have been in the middle of writing a book for the last 4 years. I literally got told during a meditation that I would be writing a memoir, and I remember saying, no, thank you. No, not interested. You know, and it kept coming, and finally I surrendered, as we have to sometimes, and I said, okay, but trust me, that has been like, you know, the week-long labor at the hospital and the kids still not coming out, you know, tears and just so much healing and cleansing and everything. And then, so that's due out like in April, that book. But then in the middle of all of it, I got told to do an Oracle deck, and I'm like, okay. You know, I didn't have to fight that one so much, and I don't know if they've just broken me down to a point where I'm like, whatever you guys tell me when I'm channeling through meditation, okay, whatever I'm being told to do, I just do now. I don't fight it anymore. And within 2 weeks, I reached out to an amazing designer who I had the pleasure of getting to become friends with, in Sedona because I also got told during a meditation to get a home in Sedona. And so we did, and we lived there during most of the pandemic. And so now we're back in Tampa. But I got the chance to meet Rachel Fairbaugh, who did all the artwork for me while I was in Sedona. And so when this little idea came into my head, I reached out to her and I go, hey, are you up for this? She goes, oh my God, this would be so much fun. Because normally oracle cards, you know, there's angel cards. It has nothing to do with tarot. It's not even close to tarot. I don't do that, and I don't even really understand that too much. But, you know, the cards that you pull once a day for inspiration, all that kind of stuff. This deck is a little bit more practical application. It's not woo at all. So the point of this deck and my intention for this deck was to take people who don't know anything about Feng Shui, who are just starting out in Feng Shui, who are not ready to hire, you know, a consultant or can't, you know, for whatever the reason may be. This is a way for you to dive in and just start a little bit every day or every other day or whenever you can. So my intention for this is to make it simple, make it very clear, concise, and practical. And I've got mine open since yours is still nice and closed. But what you'll find in here, and it's all, you know, it's all about abundance as well, right? Because we're working with abundance with all our intentions. So what you'll find in here is the directions on how to use the card, you know, which is very simple. Pull a card to just my bio and Rachel's. This is your key. So this is the Bagua map. So the style of Feng Shui that I practice is BTB Feng Shui, and it is Western Feng Shui. And the reason I chose to go with that is my teacher, this is what she practiced, or practices. She's not past. She's very much alive and thriving. And Western Feng Shui is an adaptation of traditional Chinese Feng Shui, because when Professor Lim, who created this style of Feng Shui, came over from China, he found that we were not willing as Westerners to put our swimming pool in the front of our houses. You know, the water element is what's supposed to be in front, but Westerners like their swimming pools in the backyard. So he took Chinese Feng Shui, traditional, and adapted it to Western households. So that is the Feng Shui that I chose to practice, since I will mainly be practicing in the States. I mean, you never know where it could go, but you know, for now.
Now that I think about it, a lot of houses in Costa Rica have their pools in the front. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So it just depends on the type of Feng Shui and the area that you live in, but you're not going to find a lot of American homes with that.
No, I don't think I've ever seen one.
You know, even throughout Mexico, nobody's got swimming pools in the front yard. Everything is in the back. So he created this style to work on the 9. The reason that the Bagua is divided into 9 pieces is because these are the 9 energy centers of your home, and they're the ones that are like the 9 major energy centers that are most important in your life. So it's divided into things like career, skills and knowledge, the family, wealth and prosperity, fame and reputation, love and relationships, children and creativity, helpful people and travels, and in the center of the whole thing is health. And then it'll teach you how to use it on the back, so you can talk about that. And then you just pull whatever you want and whatever speaks to you. And what I would suggest for everybody playing with it is, I already had one client who was so cute. I gave her a deck the other day when I went to her house, and she's like, my kids already pulled a card, and everyone's got their mission, and they're going to their room, and they're going to do what they said on the card, and, you know, and then we're all going to reconvene, and we're going to see who did it the fastest. I'm like, okay. So you can make it a game, you know? So my invitation is, pull whatever card is calling to you that day. If you have 5 minutes, you know, you can sort through it. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I picked this card and I have 10 minutes a day and it says to clean out my whole closet, you know. Sort through it and say, I've got 15 minutes. Let's see what card comes up for me, you know. And then you go from there. And my invitation is to finish that before you pull your next card. And I love having a little journal to keep track of when you do it.
Do you recommend shuffling them or like checking in first? Because I know you're super intuitive. So, and most of the listeners are intuitive.
I would think so, are as well.
Yes.
Sure. I would say yes, listen to your intuition. If one day you just want the top card, I'm a person who likes the top card a lot. Even when I'm working with different decks, for some reason I go to the top card. Whatever it is that day, that's the one I'm meant to have. And after I shuffle. But I would say listen to your intuition, and then if the card you pull does not jive with the amount of time you've got, then re-pull. It's not going to change anything. You know, I'd rather you get through a task that you can get through and you move forward and make progress than put it all aside. And I do invite all of you guys to really grab a little journal and keep track. I love to date everything because it's incredible how fast when you start shifting energy, changes happen. I mean, incredible.
So what are some changes that you've seen happen in clients' lives?
Oh my gosh, the gamut. I mean, from no job to jobs, from no travel opportunities, and so a dear friend of mine, back when I was still a student at that point studying, and I needed people to help me to go do assignments, and again, so many of my friends were like, no. So this one dear friend of mine said, sure, my pantry's in the helpful people in travel, and it's a hot mess. I'm like, let's go do it. We decluttered everything. We cleaned it out. She had like 50 cookbooks. I'm like, so do you use all of these? She goes, no, I get all my recipes online. Like, so why do we have them? I go, let's let them go. Let's donate them. And we made room, and then we set our intention. She got she had a big enough pantry where she could get this really cute little saying, you know, like, what is it? Eat more, love more, travel more, whatever it is, one of those really cute little sayings. She put it up there, and she called me back. She's like, oh my God, I just got invited on a girls' trip. You know, 3 days later, oh my God, I just got invited to go do this somewhere else. So it can shift that quickly. Certainly people I had one client who lost a very high-end corporate position, and we did all the adjustments for welcoming in abundance and wealth and everything, and focused on her career because she needed to get a new job. And I think it was, I don't want to lie here, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks, and she got an even better position, a better offer, you know, when she was devastated with the one that she had lost. We've seen health improve. You know, I do work with people who are sick and have health challenges as well, and we focus on health, but then we also, I touch, especially if somebody's really recuperating and spending a lot of time in bed, I will focus a lot of my attention on the master bedroom, because we all spend a third of our lives in bed. And if that is not supportive, you know, then you're not going to sleep well, which means you're not going to wake up with energy to face the day. I mean, it just trickles down, as we all know. The bed is everything. So I spend a lot of time on that. I spend a lot of time in wherever people's offices are, because that's another almost third of your life, you know, and then we'll kind of look at the rest of the house and see. And I'm not sure if you know this or not, but the bog was also associated with body parts.
I did not know
Yes.
that. Okay.
So when I'm doing consultations, the first 30 minutes is just chatting the way we are. Tell me what's working in your house. Tell me what's not. Tell me what's going on. And if they tell me, for instance, you know, oh, I'm having a lot of hip issues, my little detective brain will go and look at the wealth corner, because the wealth area is associated with your hip. You know, if they're like, oh, I'm constantly having mouth issues, let's go look over at children and creativity. I have one patient who's dealing with leukemia, so we're looking at the career, because that deals with the blood. So yes, it's fascinating. You know, that little Bhagavad map is everything.
Idea. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to articulate this question properly, but just see if you can follow this. So we have energetic blocks, like, internally, and I didn't know it associated with the body as well. So if you do one of the cards, will it create an opportunity for whatever block to come to the surface so it can be released?
I would think so. I didn't really do it with that intention. I kind of did the deck as an intention to, by the time you get through the whole deck, you'll have touched every single spot in your house. So I did it more with an overall intention. There's 77 cards. So, you know, it'll take you a hot minute to get through everything, but that's intentional. So that you've now touched every space in your home, and that will help release all the blockages. You know, I would say if you're having a block and you're aware that you're having a block or something like that, then my intention for pulling that card that day perhaps would be to, you know, help me pull a card that will help release whatever it is that this block is going on in my life. And chances are you'll pick the right card for the day, or a weekend, or whatever day it is, you know, whatever time you're choosing.
So what is a tip that, like a Feng Shui tip to help bring abundance?
So my favorite one is always to focus on your front door.
Okay.
Because in your home, the eyes of your home are your windows, So again, if you need to see clearly, which of course it's all connected, right? You need to be able to see clearly to make good decisions to welcome in abundance. So you want to make sure your windows are very clean. They're not broken. They're in good shape, shutters, window treatments, whatever's going on. And then even more important than your windows is your door, because your front door is the mouth of your home. And you can do all the work in the world that you want inside, but if you haven't welcomed in that energy, it's not coming in. So I always start everybody at the front door. And my invitation to all of you guys to welcome in abundance is to stand at your front door and look at it and see what it needs. Do the lights work? What's the paint on the door? How's that situation? Does it need to be repainted, restained, cleaned? Does the hardware stick? You'll have no idea how many people reach out to me when I'm talking and they're like, I'm just stuck. I'm stuck in my career. And I will go and look at their front door and I'm like, when was the last time you opened this? Oh, we don't use it. We use the garage. So I want everybody to use their front door at least once a day. Whether or not even if just open it and close it. Make sure there's nothing stuck behind it. Make sure the hardware works, because if that hardware's sticking, things are sticking. It's really that literal sometimes. It's really fascinating. I've done so many homes at this point that you start to see patterns. And I remember when my teacher was telling us all of this, and we're all like, but you start doing home after home after home, and you see those patterns, and you hear the way people speak, and they will say that, I'm stuck. So make sure everything on the front door is spick and span. Oh, and you welcome mat. I always suggest, they're not expensive. Get a fresh welcome mat once a year. I want flowers or something if possible during the season on either side, again, to bring in that fresh energy and make sure that they're in good shape. The containers are great. If you are in a space...
Even artificial?
I prefer real.
Okay.
I really do. I prefer real. If you're in a space where you can do a fountain, running water is very auspicious and also brings in abundance into your home and space. If you can't, that's okay. You can get black containers, because black is representative of water in Feng Shui, which is why on the bottom of the Bagua map you'll see career is black.
Okay.
So you can set your intention in different ways. We could do a whole thing just on what does each area of the Bagua map mean, but that's just, we'd be here for another 3 hours. We can do another one and do that. But black equals water in Feng Shui. So if you put black containers or the black mat, then that represents water. You're doing it with intention. And then after you've done all that, you are going to go get a rag, and you are going to add a few drops of basil oil and a few drops of rosemary oil. And that's in here. That's one of the cards in the deck. And you're going to wipe down that front door. And you're going to wipe it down with the intention of inviting abundance in. Basil represents money.
Okay.
Yes. And rosemary represents protection. So, you want protection.
That's good.
Yes.
Okay.
So the combination of the two, girl, is good.
So I'm going to get some basil and rosemary oil when we finish this interview.
Yes. And new moon, perfect time. That's how I remind myself to do it every month, every new moon. Because the new moon is for manifesting, and the full moon is for releasing.
Okay.
So if you just kind of give yourself that schedule, once a month you're going to do this checkup, and you're going to do this. And then the final tip, get a red envelope, put 9 coins inside that red envelope, and put it under your doormat.
Interesting.
And that is to welcome in abundance as well. That's financial abundance. That's bring on the money, girl.
So I haven't heard of that. So why a red envelope and why 9 coins? And any coin, like 9 quarters?
Yeah, whatever you've got.
Okay.
In fact, what I did, because I want international clients and I want international people buying. I shipped my first one to Canada 3 days ago. I just got them Monday. Like literally, I got them Monday, so it's good. It's moving fast.
You're seeing them first.
Yes, you are. You are. I added foreign coins too. I had some laying around, from travels and stuff. So I added American money, and then I added a few foreign coins too to total up 9. The reason for 9 is that 9 is the highest single number.
Okay.
8 in Feng Shui equals abundance, like money, but 9 is the highest of everything, true abundance. So we want true abundance, not just money, right? And then the red envelope, in Feng Shui, red can mean 2 things. You can use it to deflect, or you can use it to attract. So I am using, with my intention again, to attract abundance to my home.
Okay.
So that is why.
I love it. Okay.
So you've got all your homework.
Rosemary oil, basil oil, wipe your front door down on a new moon, and then red envelope
and
9
coins. Yep.
Under your mat. And
under your new, freshly cleaned doormat.
Okay, yeah, I need a new the mat in front of my door is kind of gross. So get a new mat before you put the red envelope.
Do the whole thing. The last two things that you're doing is the wiping down and the money underneath. You want to make sure that place is spick and span and cleaned and everything's working, lights are working and all of that, and then you round out the ritual with those two pieces.
I love it. I feel like money and love are the two that people want the most. So what about love?
Sure. Money, love, and health are the three main ones that people come to me for. The one final thing I will say on money is people always want to focus just on the wealth corner. Like if you're doing this, make sure that you pay attention to the cards that go for other areas too, because everybody wants to jump right to wealth. But what do you need to get wealth? You need all the other areas. You need skills and knowledge. If you don't have any skills, you're not going to get any wealth. You need helpful people in travel. You need helpful people to help you attain that wealth. And you need health, so you really do need all the pieces. So don't jump just to the wealth cards. There's a lot of them in there. But make sure that you are looking at it as an entire puzzle and you're really spending time on each one. So now to love. To love, I usually focus on the master bedroom. And I like to do that because usually it's the people who sleep in the master bedroom who call me to do the consultation, right? So I really like to focus there. And love is the upper right-hand corner of your home. But if that is not where your master bedroom falls, use everything for love and romance wherever it is that your master bedroom falls.
Okay.
We're just going to apply the same things. So the things that I find that are out of balance is, and we just did a private, I hosted with Heather Radke, she and I hosted a Feng Shui and Flower Essences private workshop on Sunday with this just amazing group of girls, and they were just so cute, and they're all in like their mid to late 30s, and they're all like, talk to me about love. Oh my God, we're so tired. The kids are driving us crazy. There's no time for my husband and I. We're empty nesters. My son's 27, so we're back on track. But I remember those years. So we talked about making sure that the bed was supported. See how we've got a solid wall behind us? You want a solid wall behind your bed to support you. You want a nice solid headboard, again, to support you and support your sleep. If it's possible, I would like the least amount of things plugged in. I had a client not too long ago when I asked her how she slept, because we'll have that conversation again before I walk through the house and do the consultation. She's like, I'm always wired. I'm like, let's go look at your bedroom, please. And she's got, the bed that moves up and down that's electronic and plugged in. Her husband's phone was plugged in on one side. They had AirPods plugged in. She had a biomat plugged in. I mean, there were so many plugs, let alone the lamps. I'm like, honey, this is why you're wired. You're literally sleeping wired. So when it's time, I don't want anyone to just run home to their husbands and start asking to change everything in the room because all the spouses get mad at me. But when it's time for you and your spouse to change your mattress, perhaps consider changing to an organic one. You will sleep so much better. We did. And when I found out that and I will not use brand names for fear of retaliation, right? But when I found out that my very expensive, very well-known memory foam mattress, what I found out it was made out of, they are made of a gallon of raw petroleum. So think about that. We're sleeping, breathing in raw petroleum. So we switched. Of course, I went running to my husband. I'm like, we can't sleep on this anymore. So we did. We switched right away, and I got a shredded latex mattress, all organic pillows, organic bedding, and I find that makes a world of difference and really, really helps us. If you are up high and you feel ungrounded at night, you can add 4 rose quartzes underneath your bed in like the 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, and that will help you ground at night. To create balance and harmony with a spouse in the bedroom or a partner, whatever your situation may be, you want to make sure that you have balanced nightstands, that they match. And I do want them to match here. And I'm not a big, matchy-matchy for all my design, but for here I am. And matching lamps. And you want enough room for both partners to be able to get into the bed. So if you have a partner that feels out of balance or doesn't feel, or feels that, one partner is more important in the relationship than the other, then a lot of times what I've noticed is the bed's pushed up against the wall and they have to crawl over to get to their little corner. They don't have a nightstand, they don't have a lamp, they have nothing that helps them feel balanced. And the other partner feels a lot more like the alpha, right? So, and that's not what you want in a relationship. You really want to bring in where everybody feels the same, everybody feels equal. So candles are great enhancers in the bedroom. Warm colors. I do notice that if I go in and there's a lot of white on white on white on white, if I ask people, how's your sex life? They're like, yeah, it's kind of cold. I'm like, it's cold. White represents the metal element in Feng Shui. So you want warmth, right? You want it to feel sexy. It doesn't have to be blazing red walls, and all of that, but you want warmth in the items that you pick.
So what does the metal represent? Because I like white for like contemporary, and I watch some design shows or like real estate shows, and they always say like the white, like it doesn't feel warm, and I'm like, I don't understand. It looks cool though, so.
It does look cool and it looks beautiful, and I certainly get asked to do, a lot of white on white kitchens and all of that. I just like balance. Again, it's all about creating balance. Like I don't want a white headboard, white bedding, white carpet, you know what I mean? If you want the white bedding, then throw a really pretty throw that's maybe an earthy tone on top of the bed. Get a wooden headboard. Have the nightstands be wood. Have something that's bringing in all 5 elements. In Feng Shui, we work with all 5 elements. So we work with water, fire, wood, earth, and metal. And to feel balance, you need all of them.
Okay.
You really do. Otherwise,
so the metal isn't bad. You just
it's not bad at all. None of them
elements.
are good or bad. It's just how you use it, and you don't want too much of anything, overpowering.
Yes.
If you've got a fireplace in your wealth corner, I will find that people tell me money comes in as fast as it goes out. My money just burns up, and I'll go see the fireplace. So what's the cure for that? We add a mirror, which represents water in Feng Shui, over the fire to balance it and put it out. So it's all about working with the different elements in each area to create that balance and that harmony. So too much of anything is going to be bad. We all know that. Too much food, too much alcohol, too much anything is not good. You need balance. So that's the same goal in Feng Shui, to create that balance.
I love it.
It's a very layered approach. It really is.
I love it. So do you travel and help? Like if someone wanted to reach out to you, are you going to do any like online classes? So if someone can't like fly you to wherever, like...
So in
addition to this, how can someone work with you?
Right. So we just moved back to Tampa, and as you know from knowing me personally, we're still waiting to move into our house. It's been being built, and patience. It's a very slow progress. I wouldn't mind traveling. I'm good. I have traveled before, so I'm opening to travel again. Right now, the focus has been on moving back, creating the deck, creating the book. And I do travel a lot throughout Florida, but I'm open to other things as well. I have not gotten to the point where I've created an online course yet. I'm thinking about it, but there's just so much on my plate at the moment that, to do it well, I really want to be able to dive into it and really channel some wonderful teachings for whoever chooses to take it. I'm not there yet. I think once we get into the house and get settled, perhaps that might come. So stay tuned, maybe. But right now, you can certainly do virtual consultations with me.
Okay.
Yeah, virtual's fine. I do virtuals all the time. Okay. Yeah, so we can do a virtual. We can do a one-on-one if you're in a location, or if you want to fly me wherever we're going. You can work with the deck, and and then the book is actually not a Feng Shui book, but Feng Shui plays a big part in the book. But that will be coming out next month. And those are the different ways you can get a hold of me right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. You can always DM me.
Oh yeah, you share so many amazing tips on Feng Shui and
Thank you.
Crystals and the flower essence. I wanted to mention, so she mentioned Heather. Heather did an interview on flower essences, so I'll have that link in the show notes, so you can also check that out if you didn't see that episode.
It's a great one. Yeah, I love that episode. You guys were so good together, and that stuff is amazing. It's just like everything, right? It's all connected. I mean, your sound healing is so beautiful.
Thank you.
We're doing a session after this. So, I mean, everything is connected, and it's all just trying to find ways to help us, and help our our psyche and our consciousness, to just get through the day.
Yeah. All right. So my last question is, what are your top 3 tips for living an abundant life?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think spending time, I've felt a big shift, and I feel my life is much more abundant now that I've taken time for self-care. Mm-hmm. To me personally, that's been a big one, because that always went by the wayside. Mm-hmm. As a mom raising, a son who was a very gifted athlete, and we were constantly traveling. I spent like 15 years of my life on fields pretty much every single weekend, and so everything I wanted to do for myself kind of went by the wayside for a long time. When I turned 50, and you always hear that the universe, whispers, and then yells. Yeah. I stopped and I finally listened. Mm-hmm. And, even though I have a crazy day today, we're going to do a sound bowl session after this, because I need to take that time for self-care. And if I care for myself, then I find a lot of other things fall into place, and it trickles down for me to my husband, because again, we're empty nesters now, and even to our dogs. Everybody is better if mama's better. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's tip number 1. As hard as it seems, it's so important to take time for that self-care to really lead an abundant and feel abundant. Mm-hmm. I also practice a gratitude practice every single morning. I wake up and I meditate every day, and most days, I'm not going to lie, most days I meditate, more than not. But then whether or not I have time to meditate, I always take time for my gratitude practice. Mm-hmm. And I'm always grateful for what it is that I have at this point in time. And I find that if I'm grateful for what is, much more is attracted, mm-hmm. But if you're always just asking and, oh, but can I have this, and can I have this, and can I have this, and you never stop to say, but you know what, thank you for this. Mm-hmm. I even thank right now, as hard as it is some days, for the rental house that we're in, because we have a place to be until our house is finished. This was not the plan. It's not the way it was supposed to work out, but this is the way it is. And I just stop and say, thank you for, and I use the address on purpose, mm-hmm. Because it's giving us a home until our home is finished. So I think that's super important too, being grateful for what's current. Yes. And then I think just practicing abundance with others. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer in if you give more, even more than you think you can afford to give, mm-hmm. That the universe will return it. Mm-hmm. So I practice abundance by giving. I gift a lot of things to people. I also, gifts is one of my love languages. So, I love to give things to people. So I give gifts all the time. I over tip. Even if it was terrible service, I'll still do a really nice tip, because maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe something was going on for them. Yeah. We have to be patient with everyone in that industry right now, because people can't find help. Yeah. And everybody's overstressed. So I truly try and focus on what I can give, not just what I can get. Mm-hmm. And the more I do that, the more stuff comes my way, very unexpectedly. And it's not why I do it, but I just can see the correlation. Mm-hmm. And then I go back to being grateful for it. Mm-hmm. So it all works together. Yeah,
a cycle.
It is. You want a good cycle.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. This is absolutely amazing. I love everything that you're doing. I mean, the cards are absolutely gorgeous. Your journal, she just gifted me a journal, and I saw the journal online, and I'm like, this is gorgeous. So literally everything you do is so beautiful, and your energy is beautiful, and just every time you walk through the door, I'm just like...
I feel the same way. I walk in here, and I'm like, whoosh. So right back at you.
Thank you. So last thing, let people know where they can find you online. Okay. What's your Instagram handle?
Sure. My Instagram handle is at Alejandra G. Brady. G as in George, Brady, Lifestyled, all together. My website is alejandrabrady.com. Those are the 2 that I'll be most active on. And within the next day or 2, the shopping cart should be ready. Again, patience. I'm being asked to be patient on so many levels right now. The shopping cart was supposed to have been done 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, it's okay. But the people who wanted the journal, I've just said, just DM me, on Instagram, and I can get them out to you. So those are the 2 best places to find me.
Awesome. I will have her links in the show notes. Sure. Definitely follow her on Instagram. She's always sharing amazing tips, and you're such an inspiration. You inspire me. And I remember recently, I'm like, I need to, like, who is creative and just does amazing things that I can focus on, because we can get in a habit of getting caught up in the stuff that brings us down.
For sure.
So I wanted to focus more energy on someone who inspires me, and you're definitely one of those people. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, M&Ms, until next time, be decadent.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.